Oh my gosh, I think it's hard to have enough female representation on crews in particular. As actors, we're used to often being, one or two girls in a cast of men. But I think it's less about what the percentages are necessarily on a particular project and what the ethos of the project is. I've had incredibly supportive experiences being welcomed into crews that are predominantly male and learning and hustling together, and I've had not so supportive experiences. And so I think until we achieve the parity we're looking for in terms of those ratios, percentages, in terms of the data, we really need the folks who are represented most in any room to look at the people who aren't and figure out how they can be more inclusive and more welcoming. Because speaking from experience, I know that makes the most difference, again, while we wait for the math to even out. And it's one of the things that during all of the years that we were staying at home, I really missed. So I'm thrilled to be here for what it means to the industry and also for all of the friends I get to see. People who feel as though a movie with a female lead might not be for them, I would love them to inquire as to why. I love watching my heroes, whether they're men or women or our non-binary friends, doing incredible work in this industry. And I think this idea that if we're the ones in charge of a project, it's somehow not for everybody is the problem. But one I don't know how to fix because we're out here trying to be in charge.
I knew I wanted to be a cinematographer when I was 15, and then when I started in the film industry, I realized there was no women doing my job, and I just kept pursuing my dream. And it's getting better, but it used to just be me with a bunch of blokes on set all the time, and now I think we're like 7% of films are shot by women. It's getting better, but there's still not very many.
And then as far as this being the first nomination, what's awards season been like?
No, I just be myself, and I always wear red lipstick on set, and I feel confident in my job, and so I think after a couple of days people forget that it's an anomaly, that there's a woman here, but it is getting better, and I'm training a lot of women. I have a lot of women in my camera department, and it is getting better, and fingers crossed it keeps going that way.
You make a very important observation that we as women have been asked since the dawn of cinema to be empathetic with characters, whether they are women or men, and they have 99% of the time been men. And we've had no problem. We can empathize with a man in his sadness or his happiness or his heroism or his power. We have a real problem in getting men to look at our stories with a similar empathy without separating themselves from our experience. And so when you look at a movie like Woman King, one of the things that we've been able to gauge from analyzing what happened in the marketplace is we just didn't cross over enough to male audiences. They didn't come because they thought it was for women. It's what you said, that because the movie centers on women, that it's also for women. Whoever said that?
And Nicky, straight ahead, right in front.
And Nicky, right here at the end.
I actually flew in for my mom's birthday, which just so happens to be Oscar weekend. So we had a big party for her today at Paris's, and just, here, coming out to celebrate women in film.
Well, that's a pity. That's a real pity, yes. Of course, I was lucky to have the honorary Oscar for my work. But then when I look at the palmarès for the Oscar, it was very sad. Yeah.
It's a lot. But here.
Not for me, because with me, I never got the memo that being a woman would hold me back, and I never let it. Either someone wants to do a song or somebody doesn't. But female composers, it's harder for some of them. Some of them are my good friends.
last one straight ahead, John.
And one last look here in the end with that smile.
No, I'm into it. I think, I wish that there wasn't like the struggle. I wish there wasn't the disappointment when you're like, oh, we had 2 years, with like Chloe winning for Nomadland, and then last year when like Jane won director and Coda won picture, and it just felt like there was all this forward progress, and I think this was like a little bit of a disappointing year. At the same time, there was amazing work made, and these movies are incredible and they need to be celebrated. So it feels optimistic. I feel hopeful.
Women in Film celebrating their 50th anniversary. So much progress has been made, but there's still